Hi everyone, happy Friday.
I knew.
मतलब बेटा हाँ ओ
We'll give it another minute. Okay, we're at the 3 minutes past the top of the hour, so welcome everyone. Today's agenda, sorry I sent it out yesterday. It clean slipped my mind or fell off the list of action items I had to work on. Today, a couple of things we want to talk about was Javad and Cliff were at the OCP APAC Summit, so we'll get some feedback from there. And then we've got Steve and Eva on the call to talk a little bit about the marketplace and discuss where things are now and some statistics possibly, and then, how this is headed. And if there are questions about Global Summit, I wish I could tell you all that the program is 100% finalized. There's still some, some of the panels, we intentionally left it a little vague to allow us room for maneuvering, so to speak. And post APAC Summit, there may be some maneuvering, but we're waiting for Cliff to come back from vacation. I believe he's back next week, and we'll get that program final. But in the meantime, those of you who've got mails about being a speaker, I think most of the Workstream leads at least are very familiar with what you would present. It's a very tight slot. It's 15 minutes, so very crisp message needs to be presented. But we'll get into those details maybe next Friday for sure. So, okay, I'm gonna give it to Javad now to talk about his experience at the APAC Summit.
Hey, thank you, Anu. So for me personally, attending that summit was an eye-opener. The summit was a big success. Um, it was fully subscribed in pretty much every manner that it was organized. So there were, I think, initially room for 1,000 people, and then they had to increase it to 1,200. So the interesting thing is pretty much everything related to hardware focused on AI data center and probably more converges into Taiwan. And the ecosystem there is built around TSMC and all the reference designs based off of silicon coming from that geography. A lot of people know the super deep technical terminology of TSMC offering. For example, everybody knows what is CoWoS. Literally, people on the street know what is CoWoS. So apparently, TSMC is building all these advanced packaging factories all over the place. So people have deep understanding of the supply chain and the ecosystem and what are the challenges and what are the solutions that are needed. So, as always, racks and power supplies and cooling was one of the big focus on the show floor. That is the type of equipment uh, that is happening there. But interestingly, TSMC participated in the Open Chiplet Economy panel and for a couple of talks. They also gave a keynote speech at the opening of the summit. And that was quite interesting to get them to participate. Now, a lot of the discussion that happens around around advanced packaging, there is focus around co-package optics and the COOP technology or the COOP engine that TSMC is building an ecosystem for, which is basically a advanced packaging version of uh, photonics IC and electrical IC for the transceiver of the uh, co-package optics and all the associated technologies to go around with it. So one of the things that we have been interested in is to basically motivate some of the companies from Taiwan local ecosystem to maybe use the OCE umbrella and develop some standardization which they are desperate need for
So I appreciate
to develop the local ecosystem for co-package optics. So we have invited some local companies to potentially start a work stream on co-package optics, kind of like converging into this CPO ecosystem that is coming together in Taiwan. So if we succeed in that, I think that that would be a interesting first of its kind. Uh, so we had several meetings with local companies, describing to them what is the mission that we have with open chiplet economy and how that could be beneficial for industry in Taiwan. So as always, we we invited a lot of folks to participate in our work streams and our 8 a.m. call, this steering committee call, and I hope somebody who attended that summit has joined us today. At least I recognize one name. Um, so so that was about it, Anu, from my point of view. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So let's dive a little bit into TSMC. It's been very hard to get them as part of any participation in the US. But do you think that in Taiwan, since the whole country sort of runs around what they say, their being on panels, their presence being very clear in the summit, do you think we've got a chance of having them participate in, because they have a very strong US based presence too, in the global summit or at any of the OCE meetings?
I think it's a really good sign that they participated. And obviously, there are a lot of questions around, hey, why is something more needed than what TSMC is already doing? And I think after looking at, the breadth of work that we do at Open Chiplet Economy, people do understand and realize that it's not just the physical design standardization that's needed, right? There's a lot more needed coming from systems thinking and software thinking, right? So I'd say that we've broken the ice and we communicated the message. There is a possibility they may participate in our global summit. How they participate, do they participate from US or from Taiwan? I don't know, but there is a possibility, or a strong possibility, I should say. So, no, sorry, I can't, I,
Okay.
I
No,
don't
no,
know
fair
how to
enough.
answer it.
I understand. It's a tough question, especially where TSMC is concerned. Very hard to tell. And then with what little participation or first time participation they had at the APAC summit, um, were their remarks really all revolving around the TSMC 3D blocks, the CoWoS LRS based ecosystem? Because I know some of the other stuff they're trying to phase out and really focus on their CoWoS stuff.
Yes, so absolutely. I think the center of all the discussion is CoWoS and its a derivative.
Right.
Remember, the CoWoS was chip on wafer on substrate. Now they're talking about chip on wafer on panel and chip on panel, some derivative technologies that will take all of this to scale, and they're pretty much the only game in town who have the full solution available. So, so that's usually the main discussion. 3D blocks is much less of a discussion because it's just really meant for their design partners. So I think uh, I don't know what to tell you uh, on 3D blocks if they will be open into participating in CDX. But definitely they are intrigued after knowing that, there are other solutions. But obviously it's a business question, right? Do you want to
Right.
support other foundries or not?
Right. No, I think it makes sense. It's yeah, the 3D blocks is wonderful if you're all invested in the TSMC, and that's great for certain large companies that can. But I think for everybody else, and who are trying to mix and match to get the best pricing, um, it might be a little restrictive. But yeah, I guess it's good to know that they showed up.
Yeah, I added the link in the chat to the keynotes. The keynotes are posted, so you can review TSMC's as well as ASE's keynote is on there.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Anyone else who was at the summit who has any feedback and thoughts? Did we have a space for like the innovation village type stuff, Javad, or was it just
I think this year there was no innovation village there,
yeah,
but I think next year
okay.
probably there will be. So
Yeah, we're going to be back same time next year, August.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Steve, the part that confused me a little bit is there was the OCP APAC summit, and then there was something in China, and then there was something in Korea, like a China Day. And so why isn't all of that, is it restrictions based on the political climate?
Yeah,
Like
we
is
had
APAC a large area?
we had 4 events happening in Asia from July through early August. So we had Singapore Tech Day, and that was driven largely by the hyperscalers who wanted to host an informational tech day in Singapore, and that took place on July 9th. And those sessions now are posted under our past events page as well. That's really just an informative awareness more so than anything in an educational piece. We had around 300 plus people attend that. That was driven earlier on in the year, and then APAC Summit was born from our side back in January, as well as a way to provide coverage for all of the. We have the majority of our members are based in Taiwan, so we wanted to do a combination of community meetup, and it blossomed into a full-on summit. At the same time, there are geopolitical restrictions that prevented anyone from China to sponsor or present in the APAC Summit. They could attend, but due to political restrictions, that event was closed off to the China community. And the China Day happens every year, and it's being driven by 2 or 3 of our key members in China.
Nice.
The anchor member is IEIT, or previously INSPIR, that you may know them. Korea Day was also born from one of our members who wanted to do a local Korea Day specifically, and that ended up being over 600 people showing up in the Korea Day. Ideally, you would want all of those countries coming together, but that doesn't necessarily seem to be the case right now. We did see some people moving down from Japan to Taiwan,
Okay.
and we hope to at least bundle part of North Asia together in the future.
Yeah, I think that would be useful to sort of,
Yes,
if you could club the whole area into one and get all of the expertise.
especially on our travel and our bandwidth as well. It was really not a fun 6 weeks here trying to run around different places.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't envy any of the OCP guys because you probably were racing around different countries trying to make this work. So yeah, no, appreciate the hard work from the OCP, but I hope the political climate allows you to change things a bit.
Me too.
Hey, Jawad, I have a question on CPO, which you talked about. So can you elaborate a little bit more what's going on and what we will be doing on the co-package optics?
So there is probably 1 or 2 slides in the keynote from TSMC and ASE around this ecosystem called COUPE, COUPE. I think it's some kind of a photonic engine that uses advanced packaging from TSMC to combine EIC and PIC together. So obviously TSMC is doing the manufacturing part of it, but a lot of design and some of the other packaging technologies are coming from other companies within Taiwan. So the main business driver behind that ecosystem is NVIDIA. So the companies in Taiwan, they need to work with each other, and OCP is a good reference model for them to collaborate on. So we have offered to provide support for a locally centered work stream that primarily focuses on co-package optics and supports that ecosystem. Obviously, it will have to be led and driven by relevant companies, and very likely some of those people will be from Asia Pacific region. So that's the big idea of where we come into picture. There is a need in that geography for industry level collaboration.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And if you find a time where we can also dial in, I think that'd be useful.
Oh yeah, so once all of this happens, it will become like any other work stream. It may have some odd hours, but yeah, it will be open.
Thank you.
So Durgesh, as far as these CPO things, there's a bunch of coalitions, right? Like this COUPE that Jawad mentioned, that's centered around TSMC and I'm guessing NVIDIA being the lead. And then there's a couple of others, right? And then it's actually kind of confusing to me because the PCI SIG comes up with optical standards. OCP has some, I don't know their standards, but they've got the SROI. And then the what is it, SerDes community comes up with certain standards. How do all of these work in parallel, or is it just different people signing up to be with the one that could be the potential winner, or is there a clear path forward as to how what would emerge?
Yeah, I have not seen it. I think just because CPO has a lot of popularity, especially after NVIDIA showed Spectrum and quantum switches.
Right.
So everyone is trying to do is, and PCI SIG, yeah, is also trying to, they have a chapter already published on optical. So that was the interest there. How do we put it all together?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. And I know we've talked about, CPU as one of the natural offshoots of chiplets, because now you're pairing together electrical and optical. And so it would be interesting to see where all of these converge or diverge. Usually diverge is what happens, but converge would be a useful option for us. Okay, so anyone else about any questions for Jawad, or anyone else have anything to say? We can move on to the next topic. Thanks, Jawad, for that update. Next, I'm going to have Steve and Eva talk about the Chiplet marketplace. Steve, you're on mute.
Can you all see my screen?
Yeah, but it's in the wrong display. It's got to go.
Presenter mode.
It's in display mode. Hang on. Was that better?
Yes, thank you.
Right. All right. Okay. All right. So the purpose of this next 5 minutes here is to run through where we stand through Q2 on the chiplet marketplace traffic. Just to refresh for those of you on the call, we launched the chiplet marketplace just about a year ago, but when we initially launched it, it was embedded inside the product category. So we moved it out to its own tile at the beginning of the year, toward the end of the year. So we've had about 7 months of run rate here to get a sense of how it's doing on its own. The marketplace is part of the overall solution provider program. So to give you a sense, if we were running around 450 plus members now within OCP, the solution providers program accounts for over 130 of those. And those are members that want to display products that are based on the work within OCP, a specification, a contribution through our marketplace. And so we've been seeing increased traffic quarter over quarter to the marketplace. And I'll share with you some of the details. And Eva, my colleague, recently joined us in April, and she'll be running this program. So it's good to have her on the call so you get to know her quite well. The marketplace overall accounts for the second largest category of our overall website visits. So events accounts for the number one area, and you would anticipate people going to Global Summit information or regional event information as being number one, but marketplace is the second. And the reason I call that out is because contributions, where somebody may be getting a technical specification, is a bit lower on that. So it's nice to see marketplace being really the center or the hub of where people go to find additional information. And that leads us into the way that we design the chiplet tile, which is slightly different than the other tiles. through Q2, we're averaging now over 25,000 views a month, and that is a record high for us. And we have over 600 listings. And I called out the chiplets here. We're close to 4,000 views for the quarter, 1,300 per month, and we're down a little bit quarter over quarter. That AI tile right above it, you can see it 4,200 and 254% increase. That is a tile that we put in place at the end of Q1. And that's really if a product is AI specific, we will then cross tag that where it shows up in the AI tile. So I'll get to that comment here and how that relates to chiplets here in a minute. But right now we're seeing chiplets account for about 5% of the total views to the marketplace. On the left-hand side, you see the countries. It's difficult to say, well, all right, how does chiplets relate to the rest of the categories and tracking for particular countries? But it follows the same geographical trends, and I pulled those out specifically here in a minute. The top 20 viewed per the chiplet section specifically, I put an arrow next to the ones that are not product listing or solutions listings. So if you go to the chiplet section, you'll see everything that we cover, from off-the-shelf chiplets to design services to EDA tools. The ones in red are the way that we've cross-promoted the work that's being done on the contribution side. We've tagged those in the marketplace so you can find those and link to those contributions through the marketplace. And I think it's interesting that we're running around 30% of the top 20. People are still finding out information and specifications. The learning modules continues to be the highest viewed. And then the cost modeling analysis, which just came up at the end of the Chiplet Summit, still hangs in the top 5. This is by country. So after this graph here, they get a little bit sketchy here. So I apologize for the formatting, but we're now into a second version of the reporting where Eva and I are trying to figure out, all right, so we get 1,000 views a month, 1,300 views a month in this section. So is that good or bad? What difference does it make if it's 1,300? What's the journey look like? So the journey on this, still US dominated, Taiwan second, that's typical, then China, India, Japan, South Korea. I think this follows a lot of the models that you may see in your own individual countries as far as interest. Again, apologize for the graphics, but this is something that we're trying to work on. So I'm not entirely comfortable with some of these numbers here. So I just wanted to show you the way that we're thinking through this and figuring out how do people get to the chiplet section. Most of them are coming to our homepage and then going into the chiplet section itself. They may be going to the marketplace page or something, but they're going directly to the OCP site. I'm a little bit surprised that fewer people are coming in from, say, LinkedIn. I don't know what that 115 means from the chiplets. So Eva and I have a call with the Power BI team to find out what is that 115, that fourth bucket there, where is that coming from specifically? But the rest you can see pretty minimal. And I need to confirm the timing on this. What is the time span of these? The exit journey. So the way that we structured the chiplet section is we have these radio buttons along with some media and links to blogs. So trying to find out if this helps people find information easier rather than going to our contributions database, rather than going to our events page. Can people just come to the marketplace and then link to the relevant areas there? And they are having an impact. I wouldn't say it's dramatic. It's not overwhelmingly, yes, they're using these radio buttons, but they certainly are going to the contributions page from these radio buttons here. So they're clicking on that specs and white papers, in addition to filtering on the left-hand side. So I can get to the specifications on the marketplace by filtering on the left-hand side as I look at the marketplace, or I can click on that top radio button as well, and it'll take me there. So I'm relatively pleased with these numbers. I'm not, the open chiplet economy, what I'm trying to figure out is where that educational course comes in, because I think they're going to the project page and they're they're viewing the educational courses differently than what I thought they were initially. Yeah, that's just a blown out of the previous one. All right, moving forward. With the 17 or so members on the marketplace within the chiplet economy, we want to nurture this market. So you can be on what's different about this marketplace compared to, say, a traditional server vendor or a networking vendor or a storage vendor or a rack vendor is that if you're doing anything around chiplets, it doesn't have to be OCP, it can be UCIe, it can be some sort of thing that has nothing to do with OCP right now. We want to get you on the marketplace to profile that you're doing work in the chiplets. The only requirements to be on the marketplace, if you're a sole chiplet ecosystem member, is to be a member of OCP. If you're a member of OCP, we're going to waive that marketplace fee that may apply to some members. We're going to waive that for a year until we get up and running on this marketplace. So please use that. If you are currently part of the marketplace program, use the OCP logos to help that cross branding. And then also send us relevant news and articles that we can cross promote in our newsletters that go out to 30,000+ people, social media channels, etc. So we're going to continue to refine the customer journey reports to say, were these numbers good or bad? What's happening? And then we have the OCP Academy launch. So those training modules are going to move over to OCP Academy, and that pilot is up and running now. So if you want to log in to go see the OCP Academy, we're happy to give you a login so you can go play around with the courses online, give us your feedback there instead of having them banked on YouTube. They're now going to be launched in OCP Academy. That's going to take place at the OCP Summit. And the last thing is around AI. Eva and I are going to reach out to each one of the 17 members that are listing on the OCP Chiplet Economy Marketplace. If your current solutions on the Chiplet Marketplace are AI specific, we want to know so we can then cross tag them into the AI section and get more visibility that way. Everybody will say they can do AI or their product can be tailored to AI, but we really want AI specific things over on the AI tab, and we're going to build out that piece of it. And it's a nice way for you to come across your solutions both on the chiplet side and on the AI side. So still a lot of work to do, but now with Eva on board, we're going to continue to ramp this up, and I'm pleased with the initial and the current things that I'm seeing, but still a lot of areas that I would like to see increase dramatically. And that's it. Any questions?
Steve, so the statistics that you have, is this over what period of time have you gathered this?
Well, the numbers that I showed there around the 1,300, that's per quarter, or sorry, per month. We're getting around 4,000, 3,900 per quarter.
Okay.
That was in Q2, by the way, and that was a record year for us, or sorry, for record quarter overall for the marketplace.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I anticipate that to drop a bit here in over the summer months, but then we'll get the big bang here coming up in October.
Right. Yeah. With the global summit, I think things will definitely.
Yep. But any feedback that you all have on the marketplace, please let us know. We have some limitations on the website itself, which Eva and I are working through, but we're always interested to figure out if someone's on the site, what are they doing, and how can we make it of more value for you guys. Ultimately, we want to drive demand and awareness and business to your teams. That's the goal of it.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for that update. Any questions for Steve or Eva?
And before I stop here, I wanted to recognize Russ, who's a new member of the OCP team. I'm not sure if Russ has introduced himself on past calls or not here. Does everybody know Russ?
No, we don't. Love to know.
Right, Russ, please introduce yourself. I think
Yeah,
that
I was gonna say
pleasantly surprised at your background.
he hasn't introduced himself. This is actually the first call I've been able to join. Yeah, so I'm Russ Wunderlich, joined OCP Foundation. Oh, this is the end of my 3rd week. There we go. Make it simple like that. So I've been doing platform design on servers x86 for over 3 decades. I was at Intel, left last year. At Intel, my last role was running the platform architecture team in DCAI, so data center and artificial intelligence group. So we did the server side, specifications, setup for design, et cetera. And I have a little bit of affinity here. I'll tell you that this was actually for Sapphire Rapids. I ran the work group where we did the, we called it companion die. So companion die infrastructure spec. Enjoyed running the work group. It was very interesting. I'm kind of, so let me say, 3/4 platform guy, 1/4 silicon guy, even though in university, my training was transistor design. But it was very interesting doing that because we were very focused on usages of companion die, and going through the process was very interesting. And our business decisions that led us to not go down the companion die path that we had initially started. So that was very interesting. Anyway, I'm sorry, I went on longer than I expected. Thanks, Steve.
So Russ, what is your role exactly at the OCP? That would help us understand when we bother you or don't bother you.
Yeah, so I think that we're all trying to figure that out. I think the way I say it right now is the basis is I'm here to help project leads, the projects and sub-projects with their efforts towards standards, specifications, direction. So wherever I can apply the knowledge that I've learned, the connections that I have, the understandings of the different projects, how they interact and intermingle and support each other. From a technical side, that's where you can think about me. As I learn more, as I talk to more of the project leads, I'm sure I'll understand where the greater needs are, where I can be more of assistance, and I can update you over time.
Thank you. Welcome to the team, Russ.
Thank you.
He's going to be a great asset for you all to lean on for any questions. And based in Mountain Time Zone, right, Russ?
Yes.
Yeah, Colorado.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, so those were the 2 topics for today. And like I said, for Global Summit, I wish I could say we've everything is rock solid. Still some flux based on the APAC Summit, but I think that's how we should be, relatively nimble in terms of being able to add interesting speakers to a panel or modify the program, not in a big way, in a small way to make it more appealing or more relevant, actually, more than appealing. I think who cares about appeal? It's really got to be relevant to what people want to hear. So we'll have that. Any questions as far as there's a official template for slides. There is a deadline, unfortunately, for all of you, and me and Jawad. August 23rd, is it? I think Kevin's the only one who keeps up with this so nicely.
I think it's 25th or something, but it's very, very soon, yes.
Yeah, and it's a preliminary slide deck, so it's a placeholder deck. So I don't believe we should go nuts over it at this point. But you know, I think you should have an overall flow with a 15-minute talk and some room for questions. You should probably not have more than 10 slides tops, and try to get to the real depth of the matter sooner than a lot of introduction, because 15 minutes is really very minimal amount of time in my opinion, for a good technical talk. So I think if you have an outline of what's going to be presented and put that in as a placeholder, that might be good enough. If you can do more, all power to you.
I think I got volunteered.
That is all I have for today. Anyone have other questions? Kevin Cameron, did you say something?
Yeah, I don't think I've got the right mic here.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you very well. I don't know about the others.
No, I can't hear him.
It sounded like he was trying to connect to the right microphone for us to hear.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of got volunteered for this. I'm not sure what the focus of that presentation should be for me.
Yeah, no, I understand, Kevin. I know you sent me a note about it. I sent you a note back saying working on it, and that's still the
Okay.
plan. I'll let you know.
I can do it last minute. It's just like I was checking.
No, I prefer that we don't make you guys do things last minute, but we're still getting some of our ducks in a row because of some of the things that came up at the APAC conference. So we'll solidify that sooner than later. Thank you for your patience.
Thanks.
Just a heads up, please book your hotel if you haven't. It's filling up pretty fast, so it's going to be a pretty big show. And get your hotels if you need them and you haven't booked yet.
Thanks for that, Steve. So folks who are traveling, I know a lot of folks are local, so you're good now, but everyone who's traveling, I was clever enough to make my booking in time, which is a first for me. So, all right, so no more questions. Thank you, Steve, Eva. Thanks, Javad, for the updates, and we'll give you a few minutes back in your lives. Thank you all. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Anu. Thanks,
Thank you,
Joanne.
Anu.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.